Good afternoon. In the earlier class, I have asked you to solve this examples. Find the generating function for 1 plus x whole power minus n and 1 minus x whole power minus n. And we studied the concept of extended binomial theorem and extended binomial coefficient. So let's, with the help of the example, let's solve these two problems. So the first one was 1 plus x whole power minus n. Now, what was the extended binomial coefficient? Let me write it over here. Extended binomial coefficient first, it was given as, suppose if u is a real number, uck is given as, there are two conditions actually. The first one is when k is greater than 0, it will be u into u minus 1 and so on up to u minus k plus 1 by k factorial. This condition is applicable when k is greater than 0. If k is greater than 0, then our uck will be defined as following: when u is a real number, that is, it is a negative number. Now, what about when k is equal to 0? If k is equal to 0, it will be 1. If k is equal to 0, it is 1. Now, similarly, let's also write about extended binomial theorem so that it is simpler when we solve our example. This is extended binomial theorem. Let x be a real number with x mod x value less than 1 and u is a real number, then 1 plus x whole power u is given as k is equal to 0 to infinity uck into x power k. Okay, uck into x power k. Now for that we have to find the generating function for this. Now let's take our example. 1 plus x whole power minus n. So by the extended binomial theorem, we can write it as 1 plus x whole power minus n is equal to, look over here, instead of u, this is u, we are taking minus n. So what should be written? K is equal to 0 to infinity minus n c k into x power k. Or you even know that instead of writing uck, it can be represented as uq in bracket also. This is equal to this. Both are the one and the same. Now k is equal to 0 to infinity minus nck into x power k. Now, how should we take this minus nck? How can we write it? So this can be written as following. So minus nck, using this formula, we can write it as minus n into minus n minus 1 and so on up to minus n. Instead of u, we are writing minus n, then minus k plus 1 by k factorial. This is by using the extended binomial coefficient, since extended binomial coefficient. Okay. Now, this can be again, if I take minus 1 common from each and every terms, how many terms are there totally? There are in total k terms. This is minus n, then minus n minus 1, minus n minus 2, minus n minus 3, and then finally we have the last first term. So this way, if I take, there are totally k terms, so minus 1 power k into n plus 1. Since I'm taking minus common, so it will be n plus 1, n plus 2, and so on up to. Now over here if I take minus common, I'll have n positive, k positive, and 1 will become negative. So n plus k minus 1 by k factorial. Okay. Now after that, what should I do? After that, we can write it as minus 1 whole power r into, the first term is n plus r minus 1 Then we will have n plus r minus 2 and so on up to n by r factorial. Okay. Now, is this the expansion of n plus r minus, suppose if you have n factorial, it is written as n into n minus 1 into n minus 2 and so on up to 1. This is your first term and this is the nth term. Then this is the expansion. N plus r minus 1 is the expansion of the same thing. So minus 1 power r is written as minus 1 power r into n plus r minus 1 factorial by r factorial. Okay. Now we need to multiply here. If we have n, then we even need to have over here n minus 1. That is, if I multiply both the numerator and 1, before this step actually, we need to multiply the numerator and denominator with n minus 1 factorial. If I multiply it with n minus 1 factorial, we will have n minus 1 factorial will be defined as n minus 2 into n minus 1 into n minus 2 into n minus 3, and it will go on up to 1. Okay, here if you see n is n into n minus 1 into n minus 2 and so on up to 1. N minus 1 will be given as n minus 1 factorial will be given as n minus 1 into n minus 2 into n minus 3 and so on up to 1. Now if I multiply this both numerator and denominator with n minus 1 factorial, we have over here n plus r minus 1, n plus r minus 2, n plus r minus 3 till we get simply n. Then after n we have n minus 1, n minus 2, n minus 3 and up to 1. Now in this case, this entire numerator is n plus r minus 1 factorial. So minus 1 power r into n plus r minus 1 factorial by r factorial into n minus 1 factorial. Okay. Now after that, this can be written as minus 1 power r. Now if you see n minus 1, if I am considering as one term, this n minus 1 if I am considering as one term, then n minus 1 plus r. Okay, this can be taken as n minus 1 plus r factorial. Now if you want to define what is NCR written as, NCR is written as n factorial by n minus r factorial into r factorial. Okay, so similarly if I am taking this n plus r minus 1 as one term, then we can take this formula n plus r minus 1 factorial, then n minus r factorial, n minus r factorial, what will it happen? N plus r minus 1 minus again r factorial. R and positive r and negative r will get cancelled, n minus 1 factorial. So this can be actually written as n plus r minus 1 n plus r minus 1 c r. Okay, or we can even write it as minus 1 power r c of n plus r minus 1 comma r. Now why did I do this instead of, so we didn't need it actually for this term to be found. I did this entire theorem. This is not a part of your actual problem. This is extra proof. Or even then, otherwise you can directly remember this. So you can say that minus NCR is given as minus 1 power r into c into n plus r minus 1 comma r. Okay, so this is the formula which can be remembered. You don't need the proof. So this for minus nck, Okay, I did one thing is I instead of k I was writing r every time, so you can change it to k everywhere. It was the same r or k. There is no change over here. So this can be written as minus nck is written as k is equal to 0 to infinity minus 1 power k c n plus k minus 1 comma k into x power k. Now, instead of this x plus x, if I take minus x, you will get the other example that I have given you in the previous class. Okay. Okay, once again I am saying or explaining this proof. So for this proof to be explained once again directly on your presentation, let's see that. Yes. So over here, extended binomial coefficient is minus NCR. Okay. Or even R can be replaced with K. Don't get confused. R can be replaced with K. You can take any variable value over here apart from N and C. Okay. Now, minus NCR is expanded as follows: minus N into minus N minus 1, minus N minus 2, and so on up to minus N minus R plus 1 by R factorial. After that, minus 1 is taken common from each bracket. How many total brackets are there? There are totally R number of brackets. Okay. Now, if we take minus 1 common, we will have n plus 1, n plus r minus 1 by r factorial. Now, after that, for this getting this factorial n plus r minus 1 factorial, you have to multiply the numerator and denominator with n minus 1 factorial and n minus 1 factorial. Why is that? Because from n plus r minus 1, we have reached only till n. After n also, whenever you are finding the factorial, suppose if you find 6 factorial, you will have to write it in this way: 6 into 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. That is, your last term should be 1. So over here, our last term is n. Okay. So after n also, we need n minus 1, n minus 2, and so on up to 1. So that is the reason we are multiplying it with n minus 1 factorial, both the numerator and denominator. So once we multiply the numerator with n minus 1 factorial, this n plus r minus 1 factorial can be written. Okay. Why? Because we have n plus r minus 1, n plus r minus 2, and so on up to n. Then we are multiplying with n minus 1 factorial. So this will go on n minus 1, n minus 2, and so on up to 1. So this factorial we have obtained. And in the denominator, we have r factorial and n minus 1 factorial. Okay. So now this is actually the formula for n plus r minus 1 CR. How is that? Our normal formula NCR is given as n factorial by n minus r factorial into r factorial. So by using this, we can give this formula, or even another representation is minus 1 power r who is into C of n plus r minus 1 comma r, where both n and r are positive numbers because we have taken minus 1 as common over here. Okay. Now, after that, counting problems and generating functions. The next topic is how are generating functions used to solve a wide variety of counting problems. In particular, they can be used to count the number of combinations of various types. Okay. So, generating functions in the earlier unit or the permutation and combinations chapter, we developed different techniques to count the number of combinations when repetition is allowed, when repetition is not allowed. We had different formulas. Now, instead of that, if suppose we have multiple constraints, suppose we have counting solutions to equations. Suppose if we have an equation of this form: E1 plus E2 plus and so on up to En is equal to C. Okay, where C is a constant. And then in this case, C here is a constant. It is a constant value, and each of this E1, E2, or it can be simply said as EI, is a non-negative integer or a integer which can be 0 or positive, which has some constraint. Okay, for each value of E, we have some kind of constraint or condition. Now, For some example, I can take a problem in this way. Suppose we have find the number of solutions. Find the number of solutions for E1 plus E2 plus E3 is equal to 17, where E1, E2 and E3 are non-negative integers. It means integers which are either 0 or positive, with now there are three conditions given. So E1 can have the value between 2 and 5. Okay. E2 can have the value between 3 and 6, including 3 and 6, because we have less than E3 is less than or equal to E2. Okay. And E3 can have the value between 4 and 7. Now, what is the solution for this? So, the number of solutions with the following constraints, with the constraints given above, is the coefficient of x power 17 in the expansion. So suppose if I write E1, E2 and E3 if I express it in the following way. What is the way that I'm expressing it? So E1 lies between 2 and 5, so I can write it as x square plus x cube plus x power 4 plus x power 5. This is how we were taking generating functions. In a similar way, we are representing E1's constraint in the following way. What about E2? We can write this as x3 x cube plus x power 4 plus x power 5 plus x power 6. And similarly, E3 can be represented as x power 4 plus x power 5 plus x power 6 plus x power 7. Now, instead of adding this, we multiply it. So, I'll be writing this equation in the form of generating functions as x square plus x cube plus x power 4 plus x power 5 into the next E2, which is x cube plus x power 4 plus x power 5 plus x power 6 into x power 4 plus x power 5 plus x power 6 plus x power 7 is equal to, now what? It should be equal to x power 17 coefficient. That is, we need to find it is given as 17. So, the solution is find the coefficient of x power 17. Now, we obtain a term. Now, over here, when we multiply each of these brackets, we have to get the coefficient of x power 17 by picking a term in first E1, then E2, and then E3, where the exponents of E1, E2, and E3 satisfy our condition or the constraint E1 plus E2 plus E3 is equal to 17. Now, easily we can see that each of these x square, x cube, even in this bracket, all of them coefficient is 1. So we will get values as 3. Okay. So and the product in this case will be 3. Hence there will be 3 solutions. For example, if I am multiplying x square with x power 5, I will get x power 10. X square with x power 4, x power 8. In this way, for each term, if I multiply, x square should be multiplied with all of these, x cube with all of these. It will be a process, but just by observing, it is not difficult. It is actually easy that the coefficient of x power 17, we will have it as 3. Hence, there are 3 solutions. Okay. Normally, finding the coefficient is actually very difficult. Finding the actual solution is very difficult, because for that we will need to do it in an elaborate way. So instead, by just observing, we can see the solution. Similarly, I have another example. Similarly, I have the topic of using generating functions to solve recurrence relations. Okay, we can find the solution to a recurrence relation and its initial conditions by finding an explicit formula for the associated generating function. Now, how are we supposed to do that? For the generating function, suppose if the recurrence relation is given as example, so now we are given a recurrence relation. How are we solving it? Not by the 6 theorems that we have studied. Instead, we will be using a generating function. Okay. Now, how do we use the generating function? Let's see an example. We have the relation given as ak is equal to 3 into ak minus 1 for all k is equal to 1, 2, 3 and so on. Now, if you observe, this is one of our first recurrence relations that we have solved. It is similar to how you solve for interest, compound interest problems, and also one of the first example, if I take a naught is equal to 3 and a1 multiplying each time with 3, that way. So instead here we are using generating functions. How should I start the problem? So for the solution, let g of x be a generating function for the sequence given ak is equal to g of x is equal to ak. And what is the sequence that we have? We have the sequence as k is equal to 0 to infinity ak into x power k. Okay, this is how we write our generating function, right? A naught plus a1x plus a2x square and so on. So we are defining our ak as ak into x power k. Now first we have to note that what will be x into g of x? X into g of x will be k is equal to 0 to infinity. If I am multiplying with x, it will be x power k plus 1. So ak into x power k plus 1. Or we can even write it as, so k plus 1 we are taking, instead of k is equal to 0 to infinity, I can write it as k is equal to 1 to infinity. Okay, and this can be ak minus 1 into x power k. Okay. Now, why did I change this is, suppose if you're writing k is equal to 0 to infinity, you will have a naught x power 0 plus 1 x. Okay. Or you can even have here k is equal to 1, 1 minus 1 is again a naught, x power 1 is again x. So they both mean the one and the same thing, but you will understand the reason in the next step. So suppose we have ak is equal to 3ak minus 1. So g of x is taken as ak. Okay. What will be k minus 1? We have this term. So g of x minus 3 into x into g of x. Okay. So x into g of x is giving us the coefficient ak minus 1. So that is the reason I took k is equal to 1 to infinity. Now what is here g of x? G of x is k is equal to 0 to infinity ak into x power k minus, then again sigma k is equal to 0 to infinity, k is equal to, what is x into g of x? It is 1. Okay, so minus 3 into k is equal to 1 to infinity ak minus 1 into x power k. Okay. Now, after that, if I take this, since I have over here k is equal to 1 to infinity, and this is also x power k actually, I want to take x power k common, and also if I want to take x power k common, both of these should be either k is equal to 1 to infinity or they should be both k is equal to 0 to infinity. Since we have already made this k is equal to 1 to infinity, I would also like to make this sigma notation also as k is equal to 1 to infinity. So for that, what I will do is, I will substitute the value of k is equal to 0 in this term. What will I have? I'll have simply a naught. Next, k is equal to 1 to infinity, I will keep it in the sigma notation. So this can be given as a naught plus k is equal to 1 to infinity ak minus 3ak minus 1 into x power k. So this is written as, so over here, while we were doing while the question is being given, we are usually given the initial condition. So let's consider an initial condition also, which is a naught is equal to 2. Okay. So now a naught is equal to 2. All right. So this can be written as a naught plus k is equal to 1 to infinity ak minus 3ak minus 1 into x power k. Okay. For this step, I'll just explain it once again. I want to take x power k common. For that reason, I made this notation also from k is equal to 1 to infinity. To make it k is equal to 1 to infinity, I substituted k is equal to 0 here. When I substitute k is equal to 0 over here, I get simply a naught. A naught plus k is equal to 1 to infinity ak x power k can be written as it is. Now once I take x power k common, in this I will have ak, and over here I will have minus 3ak minus 1. Also we have been given the value of a naught, which is 2. Now because a naught is 2 and ak is equal to 3ak minus 1, we will get, so let me just write, a naught value is 2 and here ak is equal to 3ak minus 1. So this value will be equal to 0. So over here, I will have, from where did we start? We took g of x minus 3x g of x. Okay. G of x minus 3x g of x is equal to a naught plus this entire summation. But we know this is equal to 0. If I take the question, ak minus 3ak minus 1 is equal to 0. So 0 when multiplied with anything will be 0. So a naught value is 2. So this finally we will be writing over here, g of x minus x into g of x is equal to 2 minus, sorry, 3x into g of x. Did I write it? Yeah, 3x into g of x. So now over here, if I take g of x as common, I will have g of x into 1 minus 3x is equal to 2. What is the generating function given as? 2 by 1 minus 3x. No. We have studied earlier, while in the earlier session, 1 minus ax is equal to sigma k is equal to 0 to infinity ak x power k. Okay, we know that 1 minus x is equal to 1 plus x square plus and so on. What is 1 minus ax is equal to? 1 minus ax is equal to a naught plus a1x plus a2x square plus and so on up to infinity. So similarly, what will be 1 minus 3x is equal to? 1 minus 3x will be equal to k is equal to 0 to infinity 3 power k. The coefficient instead of this a, we have 3. So 3 power k into x power k. A square x square, I'm sorry, a power 1x. Let me just write this clearly. One by 1 minus ax is equal to 1 plus ax plus a square x square plus a cube x cube plus and so on up to infinity. So instead of a over here we have 3, so k is equal to 0 to infinity 3 power k into x power k. So this can be written as k is equal to 0 to infinity 2 into 3 power k into x power k. So since earlier while we were solving the problem we assumed that g of x is equal to ak k is equal to 0 to infinity ak x power k. We took x power k to solve our problem. So while we are considering the solution we can exclude this x power k. So our ak, the general solution for our linear recurrence relation can be written as ak is equal to 2 into 3 power k. You can do this directly in the first sessions of our linear recurrence relation. I have shown you already for the compound interest problems. This is the similar way, but instead of doing it directly we used generating functions. Similarly, I have another problem where it is not homogeneous. So instead we have a non-homogeneous equation. Let's do that. So the equation is as follows: an is equal to 8an minus 1 plus 10 power n minus 1, and the initial condition is given as a1 is equal to 9. Okay, one more thing with respect to the initial condition is, suppose if we have an is equal to an minus 1, only one previous term, then we will have only one initial condition. I'm not sure whether I have explained this concept to you in the earlier classes, but if suppose if we have an is equal to only one previous term is given in the formula, then we will have only one initial condition. You can go back and notice, suppose if an is given as an minus 1 plus an minus 2, then we should be given two initial conditions, otherwise we won't be able to form the general solution. If we have three previous terms, then we will have three initial conditions and so on. I hope you get the gist. Okay, now for this question we need to give the solution using generating functions. So to make our work with generating functions easier, we what we do is we extend this sequence by assigning or setting the value of a naught. Okay, so we take a value of a naught as some 1. Okay, if I take a naught as 1, then what will be a1? 8 into a naught plus 10 power n minus 1. So I am finding a1, so I will have 10 power 1 minus 1, 8 into 1 plus 1, which will be 9. Okay, it is basically I'm just trying to make it easier. So a naught is equal to 1. Okay, now what should I do? I am multiplying both sides of our equation with x power n. So let's write the solution. Multiply both sides with x power n. So an into x power n is equal to 8an minus 1 into x power n plus 10 power n minus 1 into x power n. Okay. Now, how is the g of x given? G of x is given as n is equal to 0 to infinity an into x power n be the generating function. So we get a naught, a1, a2 and so on, and we sum both sides of the equation by starting with 1. Okay, so over here what will be g of x minus 1? G of x minus 1 is given as n is equal to 1 to infinity. Since we know, this is the reason we took a naught is equal to 1. We wanted to start n is equal to 1 to infinity. So we can take this, or I'll write it a bit clearly. G of x is equal to, how it should be written, a naught plus a1x plus a2x square. But over here, since n is equal to 0 to infinity, I have taken a naught already. So now I can write the summation from n is equal to 1 to infinity an into x power n. Now after that, what is the value of a naught that we took? We took a naught value as 1. So g of x, I am shifting it to the other side. G of x minus 1 is equal to n is equal to 1 to infinity an into x power n. Okay. Now an into x power n, here it is given as the following. So instead of this, substitute this value. Okay. So n is equal to 1 to infinity 8an minus 1 x power n plus 10 power n minus 1 into x power n. Now why am I doing it differently from the earlier problem? The reason I am doing it differently is, in the earlier problem we already had a naught value. We did not need to take a guess value of a naught. Also, the earlier problem was homogeneous. This is non-homogeneous. Okay. Now n is equal to 1 to infinity 8an minus 1 into x power n plus 10 power n minus 1 into x power n. After that, separate these two terms. So we will write n is equal to 1 to infinity. 8 is a constant, so let's take it over here. An minus 1 x power n plus n is equal to 1 to infinity 10 power n minus 1 into x power n. Okay. Now, so here n is equal to 1 to infinity an minus 1 x power n. Okay. Now, since we have n minus 1 over here, let's make this also n minus 1. How can I make it this as n minus 1? I can take 1x outside this sigma, then I can have x power n minus 1. Similarly, in this case also, I should take an x so that both these powers are equal. Okay, so let's do that. 8x n is equal to 1 to infinity an minus 1 x power n minus 1 plus x into n is equal to 1 to infinity 10 power n minus 1 into x power n minus 1. Now 8x n is equal to, now if I have 1, this will be 1 minus 1 a naught x power 0. Okay, so instead of that, can I write n is equal to 0 to infinity an x power n? Yes, the same thing, both of them are the same. Similarly, over here, instead of n minus 1, I can, if I take n minus 1 is equal to 0, then we can make the same change over here. N is equal to 0 to infinity 10 power n x power n. What am I doing? Either if I take n is equal to 0 to infinity an or n is equal to 1 to infinity n minus 1, both are the same thing. Now, what is this n is equal to 0 to infinity? It is our g of x. So we can replace it as 8x into g of x plus x into, this was the formula 1 by 1 minus ax, which is 1 plus ax plus a square x square. Now if you see, this is 10 power 0 plus x power 0, which is 1, then 10x plus 10 square x square and so on. So this can be written as 1 by 1 minus 10x. Okay. Now, what is this equal to? This is equal to g of x minus 1. We started from here. So g of x minus 1 is equal to 8x into g of x plus x by 1 minus 10x. Okay. Now we have to solve for g of x. That is right. We have to solve for the generating function. So let's take this g of x over. Let's keep it over here. So we will get g of x minus 8x g of x is equal to 1 plus x by 1 minus 10x. Okay. Now if I take the LCM and all, I will get 1 minus 9x by 1 minus 10x. Now if I take this g of x common, I will get 1 minus 8x is equal g of x into 1 minus 8x by 1 minus 9x into 1 minus 10x. Take this 1 minus 8x to the denominator. So I will have g of x is equal to 1 minus 9x by 1 minus 8x into 1 minus 10x. Now, after that, you have studied the concept of partial fractions. So you will have to use partial fractions 1 by a plus 1 by b. Then partial fractions, I believe you are even doing it in maths 1 in engineering also. So when you use the partial fractions concept, I am using it directly. You will get 1 by 2, 1 minus 8x plus 1 minus 10x. Now, this can be written as 1 by 2 into sigma n is equal to 0 to infinity 8 power n x power n plus n is equal to 0 to infinity 10 power n x power n. So this is given as n is equal to 0 to infinity 1 by 2 into, since we have multiplied in the original equation with x power n, we don't consider our recurrence solution with x power n terms, so it will be 8 power n plus 10 power n. So over here into x power n, and now in the final solution we'll simply write 1 by 2 an is equal to 1 by 2 into 8 power n plus 10 power n. So this is the final solution. Now, so this partial fractions, please look into it before you go for this problem, and try solving all the other recurrence relation problem by using the generating function concept. Now this concludes the recurrence relations topic with respect to generating function, and also the recurrence relation topic. Now we have seen the 6 theorems that we use, and along with that we can also use generating function. In the question paper, it will be specified whether you have to solve it with generating functions. If it is specified that you have to solve it with generating functions, you have to do it this way only. Otherwise, if nothing is specified with respect to the recurrence relation problem, then you can either use the theorem which is applicable, or you can also use the generating function. And this concludes the generating function topic.